interesting technology. Culturally and socially, quite a lot of concerns about basically the point they're making in this image, that people are going to be taken out of the world. But they're the same concerns people have had, though, about phones as well. Concerns that may have been somewhat correct, but were not 100% correct, and they're maybe mistargeted. But putting those concerns to the side for a second, the technology itself is fascinating. Let me see if I can find that video I had up. This video. Let's play this video, because this is, of the videos on this topic I've seen, this is the best indication of how this hardware, works and can be useful.
I'll show you a couple more things. Got the messages again. Got music set up here. Big screen TV set up on my wall. Gordon Ramsay showing me how to cook above the stove. Notes right here for some groceries. Can walk around freely. Here's what it looks like when it's on. Hey, how's it going?
Oh, hey, catch.
Thank you. And as we walk around the house, everything stays pinned exactly where we left it. And that's it. Let me know if you have questions.
So chat, two reactions come fast and ready to the forthright of my mind. The first is, that's pretty cool. The technology is incredibly impressive. The second is the soy jack, mouth wide open, pointing backwards and looking, look at the virtual screens in my house. Look at my wife. I saw her briefly, not her boyfriend, and she threw something at me and I could catch it. It's like, perhaps the problem is appreciating this kind of thing in the context of how badly fucked up some of the large parts of the world are, is perhaps missing the point. Still, very interesting technology, and likely to become slowly ubiquitous in the same way that smartphones did. Yeah, anyway, that's very, very interesting stuff, worth keeping a look at. And it is notable, of course, Apple is the one that's doing it, and I've in the past had great dislike of Apple as a software and hardware producer, but have gradually realized why their company appears to be tuned the way it is, because when it comes to Android and SteamOS and Linux and even Windows, it's tuned towards giving the user control of their device. That appears to be generally the default. That's what the market demands, generally. If you go long enough, the market will gradually demand software platforms that allow control of the device. That's the main reason. But Apple does things differently. While they do tune somewhat towards control of the device, because they couldn't do 0% that, I think they're tuned more towards, like, everything is tuned towards producing and selling completely novel innovations. Because Apple, to their credit, do produce a large number of tech innovations. But the reason they can get away with that is probably because they can sell their products, like this one here, for $3,500 US, when it's basically an experiment, and people will buy it. Just enough people that they can fund all this stuff that the next random experiment. The fact they've got this basically cult-like aesthetic to their company, and all their software and hardware is fully integrated with little room for customization. It's all geared towards gathering all the cash they possibly can to produce innovations and keep people hooked on the shiny new brushed aluminium and white product. Good thing there's no one here, no one around these parts who regularly buys Apple products. Welcome, by the way, Motch, to the show.
Listen, I have an iPhone, I have an iPad. I do not regularly buy Apple products.
That is not quite the point, but okay, never mind. Have you, by the way, made the pre-order for your Apple Vision Pro?
Oh yeah, of course. It's going to be by the end of the month.
Understandable. Yeah, Daddy Will. Yeah, California be like the soy jacks with the Apple headsets going, oh, look over there. People in tents on the street because they're looking at something different. So chat, I have seen a video covering the tech in this, so I'll give you a brief rundown of what these things actually are, because that is kind of needed. Headset, over your eyes contains 2 screens pointing towards your eyes. So it's not actually a AI headset, technically speaking. You can't see through it, but you can see the screens. And they're extremely high resolution and high frame rate screens. You've got some cameras at the front, cameras pointing down, and cameras pointing, frankly, in all directions. And a couple of screens in a lower resolution pointing outwards, which I assume are just there to show your eyes. The thing also has sensors inside that can see where your eyes are pointing, and you use your eyes to point, like a mouse cursor. You then tap your finger and thumb together to click, basically, like a mouse. So it's whereas, mouse and keyboard was the UI for ages, and then you get touchscreen, which is a totally different UI. Now this one is actually more like mouse and keyboard again. In fact, it's very similar to mouse and keyboard. I don't doubt that you could use this UI to just control a PC quite easily, quite naturally. The way that it detects when you're doing this is just by cameras. There's no hardware to attach to yourself. There's no controllers like with other VR headsets. It has sensors that point straight down, so you can just do it in your lap if you want, just tapping like down here. And where you're looking is where your mouse is, essentially, and where you can then click. You can then move things around in the 3D environment that it produces in front of you. You can move things around and position them like screens in reality, like you saw there. But it's all on a screen in front of your eyes, which contains this stuff on it as well. What that means is that if you bring up, say, a hand in front of one of the displays, then it's going to try to intelligently cut out your hand from the display and then overlay what it thinks is just the hand over it, because it's not actually there in 3D space, and it's not 3D modeling the environment. Well, it is, but it's just overlaying the 2D image on top of that. Probably the main thing it's doing is building a depth field, actually. Probably the main thing it does every frame. So if you put your hand in front of it, it does it occasionally cuts some of the background in and cuts some of the hand out visually, but it looks fairly good. So yeah, that's what it is. It is, in fact, a VR headset. But they're calling it spatial computing. Of course, they have a new name for it, but it's not a bad name, to be honest. So yeah, there you go. That's the Apple headset. And I don't usually cover Apple stuff because, as I say, not a big fan of their sort of cultish tech and software and stuff. But the tech itself is very impressive. And in a few years, I think we'll start to see more open alternatives, which I will then possibly be interested in. I have already been interested, actually, in like glasses that you can put on, which are normal glasses, but they have little tiny projectors in them, which can project something onto the screen with a very small pixel count. But it's the eyeglass itself is like polarized or something, so it doesn't project it through. It just projects it and then reflects it back into your eye. So you get a little tiny screen right up to your eye. And you can get these for about £300 or £400. I don't suppose they're very good, but they probably give you some of what you want in terms of a private and secret screen that you can use anywhere, which is quite a cool idea. The Apple headset, by the way, also has the one way that it's different from a lot of other VR headsets is the battery is not on your head. There's a wire that trails down from the headset via a sort of custom attachment point into a little battery pack that you can hold. So you put that in your pocket and the wire can trail down into that. And people have claimed that you get like several hours of battery life in total. You could also potentially in the future add another custom battery. And the battery itself, the little battery pack that you can hold, the thing on the wire, has a USB-C port in it, so you can plug in and charge it later. So that's how the tech works. So there's a lot of potential there. You may see this around a lot more in the future. But bear in mind that I don't know if you can even use it without being able to see anything through it, but it's not like this. The image I had here of this. These guys can actually see what they're doing. They're not sitting there with like wall-to-wall pornography in front of them, just like poking at their food. They're actually looking at the food. And they might be doing something together or communicating in some other way or watching something together on the eyepieces. It's just not on a screen. It is on a screen. It's just not on a screen that you can see. It's on a screen that only they can see. So it isn't actually much different than phones or sort of tablets are now, except that it's in some ways more convenient. They can still see. And so if you see someone with this on and you can see their eyes through the glasses, you're not actually seeing their eyes. You're seeing a screen that is showing what their eyes actually look like. So it's almost the same. But obviously they could be seeing anything else in front of them. The tech isn't good enough yet, Lighthouse, to do things like that, to make people look different, because it doesn't track quite right, but it might do in future. And obviously the future implications for this technology are alarming. But hey, so many things already are. But right now, it's pretty harmless, I think, but we'll see. Now, I say that, but as with everything, that is in the context of people not being... Unfortunately, many people are... Let me see if I can find the story that I had on this. Apple Vision Pro combined with Tesla self-driving is peak multitasking, says this guy. And, yeah, there's just a picture there of someone at speed in what appears to be a Tesla vehicle with the Apple headset on. Not what I'd recommend. This guy says, billions of dollars have been spent trying and failing to achieve something I do every morning with a smartphone and a train. True, but a train's not quite as customizable as a car, and often more expensive, unfortunately. But there is actually a news story on this guy as well. I think I may be able to find it. It appears that he's been arrested. Let's have a look at this currently. Yeah, what could possibly go wrong? Exactly. Apparently he didn't crash, but this man was arrested, according to this post. I don't see any evidence of the arrest, but yeah, here he is, just... Like, as I said before, oh shit, he is being arrested currently. Like I said before, he can see. Right, he can see to the road, but he's probably got loads of screens up in front of him, and any one of them could just slip up in front of it. And he's not seeing the road, he's seeing the screen in front of his eyes. So you could argue that whilst it's probably okay in practice to do this, it's not really a good idea, and it could go wrong quite easily and totally f the whole thing up. But then again, the Tesla self-driving is itself a risk already, so compounding those two risks is not a good idea. But maybe the correct verdict here is this is very much an untested area of law currently for this specific kind of device. So, yeah, probably what happens next makes sense. Recognize this music. Yeah, so it's now been tried. Basically, day one, it's been tried. Apple pass-through is blurry. Ezreal, do you mean on the new headset? Because I have seen a review that says it's not blurry at all. I didn't know he was a crypto scammer, Voodoo, but okay. You hope the consumer got beat. Interesting. Atheline, maybe he did fake his arrest, I don't know. I haven't been following this very closely. I assume that this is just a meme. Video seems fake, mix of self-driving on highway with car standing still with cops in parking lot. Yeah, that's what it was in there. I don't know. I don't know if it's real or not, but it could be. It probably has happened. Like, even if this is fake, I guarantee this has happened once somewhere. Yeah, Apple's $3,500 augmented reality versus $20 worth of mushrooms. Anyway, that's all of that for now.